All right, let's dive in. We're heading to Italy today, but not for the pasta or the paintings. We're going deeper, way deeper, into Italy's history of innovation.
And you might be surprised by what we find. This is a country that has shaped the world in ways you might not even realize.
It's true. I mean, when I think of Italy, I picture, I don't know, the Colosseum, maybe a Vespa zipping through Rome, definitely some delicious pizza. But innovation, not always the first thing that comes to mind.
Right. But that's what we're here to uncover. We're going to get into some of the why behind all this Italian ingenuity, like what drove these inventors, these thinkers, these artists, what pushed them to create and to change the world.
I'm ready.
And we're lucky enough to have this document, Innovazioni e Avanzi d'Italia. It looks like a pretty comprehensive history of, well, innovations and advancements from Italy.
So where do we even begin?
Well, I think it's only natural to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
In Rome.
Okay, ancient Rome. Gladiators, legions, conquering most of Europe. I'm already picturing Russell Crowe in Gladiator. But in terms of like actual innovations, what did they do that was so groundbreaking?
Well, when we picture Roman military might, it's easy to think, okay, brute force. But there's a lot more to it than that.
More than just sheer numbers.
Way more. They were strategic geniuses, and they used technology in incredibly clever ways. Their weapons, their tactics, even their infrastructure, it was all designed to give them an edge.
Interesting. So give me an example.
Okay, take the gladius, for instance.
Gladius?
Yeah, it was this short sword, perfectly designed for close combat.
Ah, so like hand-to-hand fighting.
Exactly. And it was ideal for the tight formations of Roman legions. See, other armies at the time, they were using longer swords. But in close quarters, the gladius was just much more agile, much more deadly.
So a small change in sword design, but a huge advantage on the battlefield.
Huge. And then, of course, there's the catapult.
Okay, the catapult.
That's Roman engineering at its finest.
That was a serious game changer.
Launching projectiles over huge distances. It revolutionized siege warfare, gave them this incredible ability to conquer and control vast territories.
So Roman innovation was about more than just strength, huh? They were using their brains as much as their brawn.
Absolutely. They understood that strategy technology, that was just as important as brute force.
Smart. Okay, so we've got the Romans, amazing military minds, amazing engineers. But let's fast forward a bit. What about the Renaissance? We're talking about art, architecture, cultural flourishing, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, the whole crew. But what about, like, scientific innovation during that time?
Oh, it was booming. And you know what's fascinating is how often it was intertwined with the art itself.
Oh, interesting.
Take Michelangelo, for example.
The Sistine Chapel guy.
The one and only. But he wasn't just an artist.
Oh.
He was also a brilliant military engineer.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. He designed fortifications, these incredibly effective defenses.
So we're talking about, like, castles and walls.
Exactly. But these weren't your average castles.
What made them so special?
He used geometry and these super innovative architectural techniques.
To make them, like, stronger.
Basically impenetrable.
Wow. Michelangelo,
Yeah.
the Renaissance man. Artist, architect, and military engineer.
He was a true polymath.
And it sounds like that spirit of scientific inquiry was really taking off during the Renaissance.
Oh, absolutely. It led to some truly groundbreaking discoveries in other fields, too. Like, think about Galileo.
Oh, yeah, Galilei.
Now, he didn't invent the telescope, but he refined it. He made it much more powerful, which allowed him to observe the heavens in incredible detail.
And that's what led him to, like, challenge the whole idea of, the Earth being the center of the universe.
Exactly. He championed the heliocentric theory, the idea that the Earth revolves around the sun.
Which was a pretty radical idea back then.
It was revolutionary. It shook the very foundations of their understanding of the universe.
I can imagine. So we've got Michelangelo, the artist-engineer, and Galileo, the astronomer who changed our view of the cosmos. Were there other big names pushing the boundaries of science during the Renaissance?
Well, we can't forget Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The Mona Lisa man.
Right. But he wasn't just a painter.
I'm sensing a theme here.
He was also a scientist, an inventor, an anatomist. I mean, his anatomical drawings, they were centuries ahead of their time.
Based on, like, actual dissections?
Yeah, meticulous dissections. And these drawings weren't just about satisfying his curiosity. They provided incredibly accurate representations of the human body.
So they actually helped advance medicine.
Absolutely. They paved the way for a deeper understanding of human anatomy. And let's not forget his engineering feats. Flying machines, war machines, innovative infrastructure, all these incredible designs, even though many of them stayed on paper.
A true Renaissance man, like you said. It seems like innovation was just in the air during the Renaissance. From art to science to military engineering, they were really pushing the limits of what was possible.
They were. And, it didn't stop there. This spirit of invention, it continued to thrive in the centuries that followed.
Oh, I'm sure it did. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we've got Roman military might, Renaissance ingenuity. I'm ready for more. What else do we have in store?
Well, let's move into the 18th century. It's time to meet Alessandro Volta.
Alessandro Volta.
He gave us one of the most fundamental inventions of the modern age, the first electric battery.
Oh, wow, the battery. Okay, now that's something I can really appreciate. We're talking about the foundation of everything electronic, right?
Everything, from our smartphones to our cars, it all goes back to the battery.
And this guy, Volta, he was the first to crack the code.
He was. It was a pivotal moment in scientific history. His invention, known as the voltaic pile, it unlocked possibilities that we're still benefiting from today.
That's incredible. It's amazing how a single invention can have such a ripple effect through time.
It really is.
Okay, so we've got batteries. But when I think about Italian innovation, I got to admit, one name always pops into my head. Guglielmo Marconi. The radio guy, right?
The one and only. He was the one who brought us the radio.
In 1895, I think it was?
Yeah. You got it. 1895, Marconi achieved the first successful wireless radio transmission. Think about that for a second. Sending signals through the air without any physical connection.
Yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing.
It was a total game changer. It laid the groundwork for everything from, radio broadcasts to, the Wi-Fi we're using right now.
It's true, and we take it for granted now, but that was huge. So we've gone from the battlefield to the laboratory. It seems like the Italians were really making their mark on the world.
They were, and their innovation wasn't just limited to, traditional fields like science and engineering. They were blending technology with artistry in ways that, honestly, the world had never seen before.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this. Italian cars.
You got it. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Fiat, the list goes on.
Those are more than just cars. They're works of art.
Exactly. They blend engineering and design in this really unique way. It's Italian excellence, both in terms of function and aesthetics.
And that Made in Italy label, it really means something. It's a mark of quality and craftsmanship.
Absolutely. But I'm curious, are there any other examples of Italian ingenuity, maybe lesser-known ones, that might surprise our listeners?
Oh, I'm all ears.
Let's take a little trip back to the 17th century. There was this Italian engineer, Giovanni Branca.
Giovanni Branca, okay.
Now, he designed one of the earliest prototypes of a steam turbine.
Wait, a steam turbine. We always associate the steam engine with, like, the Industrial Revolution in Britain.
Right, but it turns out Italy was playing with similar concepts much earlier.
That's fascinating. So this Branca guy, he was ahead of his time.
He was. His design, it wasn't fully realized at the time, but it was a clear precursor to the technology that would eventually power the industrial age.
So Italy was on the cusp of something big.
They were. And I think it highlights an important point. Italy's contributions to engineering and technology, they're much more diverse than many people realize.
Okay, so far we've got Roman military might, Renaissance ingenuity, the birth of the battery, early explorations of steam power. It's already got a pretty impressive list.
It is. And we're not done yet.
Oh, there's more.
What about Italy's advancements in aeronautics and naval technology?
Really? I never really thought about Italy in that context.
They developed some really advanced military aircraft during the 20th century, and even today, they play a significant role in the defense industry.
Wow, I honestly didn't expect that.
Designing and manufacturing cutting-edge weaponry. Companies like Beretta, they've been around since the 16th century.
The 16th century, that's like forever.
They're renowned for their quality and precision.
So they've been in the game for a long time. I'm starting to see a pattern here. This deep-rooted tradition of craftsmanship, this technical expertise, it seems to run through Italian history.
It does, and this expertise extends to the economic realm as well.
Okay, how so?
Well, let's go back to the Medici family in Florence.
Ah, the Medici, the bankers who bankrolled the Renaissance.
Exactly. But they weren't just patrons of the arts, they were also financial innovators.
Interesting. What kind of innovations are we talking about?
Some pretty revolutionary stuff, actually.
Like?
Well, they introduced concepts like bills of exchange, a way to transfer funds over long distances.
Okay. I can see how that would be useful, especially back then.
It was a game changer for international trade. And they also pioneered the idea of bank accounts.
Bank accounts. That's a pretty basic concept now.
It is. But back then, it was radical.
Yeah.
It allowed people to securely store and manage their money.
So the Medici, they basically laid the groundwork for modern banking.
In many ways, yes. Their innovations were surprisingly far-reaching.
It's incredible to think about. And speaking of finance, we can't forget about the Milan Stock Exchange,
Of course.
one of the oldest in Europe, right?
It is, founded in 1808, a true testament to Italy's long-standing influence in the world of finance.
Okay, so we've got the Medici, the Milan Stock Exchange, a long history of financial innovation. But when we're talking about Italian economic power, we got to talk about fashion.
Absolutely.
Gucci, Prada, Versace,
Those names are synonymous with Italian luxury and craftsmanship.
the Made in Italy brand, it's globally recognized as a symbol of quality.
And it's not just limited to fashion. Food, furniture, a wide range of products.
When you see Made in Italy on a label, you know you're getting something special.
It speaks to Italy's cultural heritage. This legacy of creativity, craftsmanship, and eye for design, it seems to permeate so many aspects of their society.
It's like they experience the world through all their senses. The food, the art, the fashion, the landscapes, it all comes together to create this really unique and unforgettable experience.
Exactly. And that cultural richness, I think it fuels this ongoing spirit of innovation in Italy.
That makes sense.
And this spirit, it continues to shape Italy's present and future.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from ancient Rome to the Renaissance, from batteries to luxury cars. But what about Italy's role in the 21st century? Are they keeping up with the times in terms of, technology and sustainability?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, they're leading the way in many areas. They've really embraced sustainable technologies.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, they've been big proponents of hydroelectric power. Solar panels are everywhere.
Makes sense, all that sunshine.
And they're making strides in electric vehicles and efficient public transport systems, especially in cities like Milan and Rome.
So they're finding ways to blend their rich history with a forward-thinking approach to the future.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, we've been shaping the world for centuries and we're not done yet.
I love that. This has been an incredible journey so far. Honestly, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of Italian innovation.
There's always more to uncover. What stood out to you the most?
I think, honestly, it's the surprising breadth of it all. I came in expecting a focus on art and fashion. But we've explored everything from Roman military tactics to the foundations of modern banking
Not to mention the birth of the electric battery.
and steam power and aeronautics.
It's clear that Italy's influence on the world goes far beyond the stereotypes.
Way beyond. It's made me rethink my whole understanding of what innovation looks like and where it comes from.
That's the power of these deep dives. They challenge our assumptions. They force us to look at the world in new ways.
I'm ready for more. It really does. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing they should remember about Italian innovation?
That's a good question. I think at its core, Italian innovation, it's really a testament to the power of combining tradition with a spirit of exploration, and this relentless pursuit of excellence.
Yeah, I like that. It's about honoring the past,
Yeah.
but constantly looking for ways to improve, to create, to push those boundaries.
Exactly. And that spirit, it's deeply embedded in Italian culture, wouldn't you say?
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
in their art, their food, their fashion, their approach to technology and science. It's almost like it's in their DNA.
This deep dive has definitely given me a new appreciation for Italy and its contributions to the world.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a story that deserves to be told. And a reminder that innovation, well, it can emerge from some pretty unexpected places.
Okay, so before we say arrivederci, I have one last question for you. Looking ahead, what underappreciated Italian invention or advancement do you think might be poised to make a significant impact in the near future?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. It's always hard to predict the future. But I think it's safe to say that Italy's going to keep surprising us.
I have a feeling you're right.
They have this knack for finding creative solutions to complex challenges, whether it's in the realm of, say, sustainable energy or advanced materials or even space exploration.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they come up with next.
Me too. And I'd encourage all our listeners to keep their eyes peeled. I mean, the next big breakthrough, it could be coming from a small workshop in Tuscany or a cutting-edge lab in Milan. Who knows?
That's a great point. The spirit of Italian innovation, it's alive and well. It's definitely something we can all be inspired by.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep an eye out for those under-the-radar innovations, the ones that might just change the world. You never know where that next spark of genius is going to come from.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Italian innovation. Grazie mille for joining us. It really is. Like,
Yeah.
you never know where that next big idea is going to come from. And that's what I love about these deep dives. They really open your eyes to all the amazing things happening in the world.
Absolutely. They make you realize just how much creativity and ingenuity is out there and how much we can learn from each other, even from cultures and countries that we might think we already know so well.
Exactly. Like, I came into this thinking I knew a bit about Italy, but this deep dive has honestly blown my mind.
Hmm.
From ancient Rome to the Renaissance, from batteries to fashion, from steam power to sustainable technology, it's been an incredible journey.
It has. And I think it's a journey that really highlights the power of human ingenuity, the power to imagine, to create, to solve problems, and to shape the world around us.
That's a great way to put it. So, to our listeners, if you're feeling inspired, if you're curious about the world and all the amazing things that people are creating, keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop asking questions.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into Italian innovation. Grazie mille for joining us.